I'll say it. This Labour government are the most deceitful government in history. That's my view. Rachel Reeves lied about the £30 billion black hole before taxing us all more and giving it away in welfare. That is certainly the allegation. The OBR said that they told her in September that there was no black hole. Then in November, she stood in Downing Street and she said this.
The Office of Budget Responsibility, the UK's public finance watchdog, will set out the conclusions of their review of the supply side of the UK economy. I will not preempt those conclusions, but it is already clear that the productivity performance that we inherited from the last government is weaker than previously thought.
Right, she's been very, very careful with her words there. This important interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your money and your identity. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code here to get ExpressVPN right now and save up to 73% on annual plans today. Right, let's get back into it. She then raised taxes by £26 billion this time round. It's a 66 billion quid's worth of tax hikes in 16 months. Now, if what the OBR says today is correct, which is that they told her that there was basically no black hole, then basically she's lied, hasn't she? To every single person in this country. Well, if she lied, then that's a sackable offence. And it's obviously a resigning matter, and she has to go in disgrace. But if they can lie about something this big, what else might they be able to lie about? Well, in the run-up to the last election, Rishi Sunak accused Starmer of this.
No, this is important. Mark my words. Labour will raise your taxes. It's in their DNA. Your work, your car, your pension.
Thank you. OK,
you name it,
sorry,
Labour will tax it.
OK, so now watch this clip of Sir Keir Starmer. Listen to the cheek of what he has to say here, given what we know now.
What emerged from last night, and this is a very important takeaway, is that the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, with his back against the wall, desperately trying to defend their record in office, resorted to lies, and he knows he was lying. And I don't say that lightly.
It wasn't a lie. It's exactly what he's done. Starmer said that Jeremy Corbyn was his friend. Then he said he wasn't. Beer and Cormagate during lockdown. Not a party, just a work event. Nothing to see here, Gov. Starmer's voice coach lesson. Oh, he needed an emergency session with his voice coach, did he, during lockdown? Come on. The freebie scandal, sorry, just forgot to mention it in our expenses. Starmer's son needed to stay at Lord Alley's multi-million-pound penthouse to revise for his GCSEs, even though his GCSEs apparently finished way before he moved out. They said that increasing tax on non-doms and hiking VAT on private school fees would fund pretty much everything in their manifesto. That is not true. Mandelson and Epstein. It's hard to believe that Starmer said he wasn't aware of his links.
Had I known then what I know now, I'd have never appointed him.
We all knew about it. Everyone knew about it. If everyone else in the media knew about Mandelson's links to Epstein, how come he didn't? He gave a big speech about immigration. He said this.
We risk becoming an island of strangers, not a nation that walks forward together.
Now he says he didn't mean it. He never read the speech before. He doesn't believe it. The Chagos Islands, they want us to believe that giving away sovereign territory is in our national security interest. Is that really true? The Chinese spy scandal, the civil service, the Crown Prosecution Service, the Director of Public Prosecutions and the former head of MI5 said that Labour weren't telling the full truth about why that collapsed. But we have to believe Labour, do we? Angela Rayner made an inadvertent error on her stamp duty, did she? Rachel Reeves rented out her home without a landlord's licence. Oh, they just forgot. They thought the estate agent was doing it. She said that she was a British chess champion. She wasn't. She came 26th. She said that she worked at the Bank of England for the best part of a decade. That's not really true either. Wes Streeting said he'd respect the Supreme Court's rulings on gender. He's just approved a medical trial that will give puberty blockers to children as young as 10. A top Labour donor was appointed as the new football regulator. Starmer made a mistake by rubber stamping his appointment. A mistake? David Lammy gave this excuse about not wearing a poppy in Parliament.
I bought a new suit this morning because my godmother said she would be watching.
Well, the next day, it turned out that wasn't true. He had not bought a new suit that morning. David Lammy said getting rid of jury trials would be the worst thing ever. Now he's getting rid of jury trials. The prisoner release. No sex offenders or violent criminals will be released. They have been now. They have been. Energy bills. They had a fully costed plan to bring them down. They went up. What is GB Energy? What is it? Seriously, does anyone know? Smash the gangs.
We are going to drive down migration, both legal and illegal. That will only be done with a serious plan. The only way to make it work is to smash the gangs that are running the vile trade.
7,000 more illegal immigrants in migrant hotels than before Labour came to power. Asylum seekers account for 44% of the net migration figures. Last year, Labour took credit for the net migration figures coming down when it was literally because of the previous Tory policies. Every time they open their mouths, another lie comes tumbling out. Let's get the views on my panel and then we'll go to the audience on this one. In fact, can we go to the audience first on this? There is a gentleman who's out the back and he's wearing a snazzy little waistcoat for us, sir. There you go. So what do you think about this? Is this just government lies?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hope so, yes, go on.
The standing joke used to be that how do you know how a politician's lying is talking? And, we've had 14 years of practice, and now we've got an administration that's taken it up to a level which is quite unbelievable. And why anybody is surprised at the level of deceit that is going on is beyond me. So This is a government that got a supermajority based on specific manifesto promises. Those are on housing, they were on energy, they were on immigration, on taxation and other issues, and they've failed on all of them. I would like to see manifesto promises put into legislation. I'd like to see them legally enforceable within limits. I'd like to see them reviewed by an independent body, and I'd like to see utter failure of those within a reasonable timescale, an automatic general election called. Because it's contempt of the democratic process.
You're very angry about this.
I'm very angry about that and a lot of other things as well, yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you for making your point.
We've got 3.5 years of this to go, and it's utter contempt for the democratic process. They lied to get a supermajority.
Right.
And I fully understand the issue of extenuating circumstances, but it does not justify what is happening in this country now.
OK. All right. Well, thank you very much for making your point. Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Save up to 73% on annual plans today. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now. This lies. I mean, look at these front page. Yeah, look at these front pages. Lionel Reeves must go now. Chancellor of the Exchequer. Reeves on the brink over taxing. Reeves misled the public. It's lies, lies, lies. Is it not?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with the gentleman more. I think we are in an era now where, I mean, look, for sure, this is the most deceptive government ever. It takes deception, I think, and I would call it electoral fraud to a whole different level. How can you bamboozle an entire British populace, an entire voter base, with promises that you don't fulfil, and then things that are not in the manifesto that then you do within 12 to 15 months of being in government? Now, at least the Labour Party in the old days were very, very clear and relatively honest about their ideology. They were all about, the poor and immigrants, and now, net zero and whatever else. What we now have, particularly characterised by our budgets, is a deception whereby they're doing the things they want to do, but they're paying for them in such a stealth way as to come across as deception. This £20 billion black hole, in fact, we've had two, haven't we? Had the 2024 black hole and now the 2025 black hole, that the OBR are saying, the OBR that Rachel Reeves leans into as their kind of data entity, is literally saying she's not telling the truth. Yeah. Now, surely it's the case, and Barry, maybe you might want to answer this, when you're lying to the public, it's one thing. When you lie to Parliament, surely that's a breach of the ministerial code, and she should resign for that and that alone, shouldn't she? She's lying to members of Parliament.
Does Rachel Reeves need to resign, Barry, over... Well, I would argue lying to every single household in Britain ahead of this budget.
Well, look, let's look at exactly what this is about. The attack is about what she knew about the state of the public finances, and it says that she had a £4.2 billion headroom, and therefore she was wrong to be spreading alarm, OK? And that was what she'd been told. When she spoke, and the clip there, she spoke about the revision of productivity that she'd been advised about. That was the productivity figures under the Conservatives that had now been revised £16 billion down. So what she talked about was the £16 billion down, OK? And she said that left a black hole. Now, 4.2 billion that she was advised by the OBR that she had as her headroom.
Yeah.
If you remember last year, when she had £10 billion headroom, everybody said, oh, that's nowhere near enough.
But Barry, the OBR told her there was no £30 billion black hole, mate. Come on.
Let me make the point, right? Last year, everybody said £10 billion is nowhere near enough. This year, what she's done is she's put that to £21 billion, right? And that's what she's used the money for, which has been raised by raising the thresholds ultimately in future years.
Right.
It's still bamboozling.
But actually, the bond markets have responded positively to that, because they say, yeah, that's about right, and that's it. So she was talking about one thing, and you're trying to make it that she
that's because there is a reason. There is a reason for that. Because
all of the other things that you've said, right? There are things in there which, Patrick, I might agree with you on. Okay, stupid things that this government has done.
Lies.
But if you're asking about what Rachel Reeves actually said, what's really interesting to me is that we're talking about the process and not about the budget itself.
No, we've spoken a huge amount about this catastrophic budget, and I think many people feel utterly shafted by it. But I think this is genuinely, I think, a very credible resigning matter.
Yes, right. The reason that this story is absolutely huge, right? The Office for Budget Responsibility is like the watchdog of, it's independent, and it's the watchdog of government spending and government plans. It's a really important independent body. Now, you'll remember how important it is.
3 weeks ago you said they always talk rubbish and they always got their figures wrong.
No, I don't think I said that. I don't think I did say that. That wasn't me.
Their forecasts are never right.
But hang on, right? They were ignored when it came to Liz Truss. Do you remember she did her budget, she didn't go to them and get their forecast first. Liz Truss's government fell as a result of not listening to the Office for Budget Responsibility. So that's why this matters, why it's so big. Now, to your point, you're right when it came to the headroom she had left, but what she didn't do was take into account nor reveal during her doom-laden speeches, where everyone was worried about this budget, that actually, because of the rise in wages, that's why the OBR was saying it's not going to be as bad as you thought it was going to be. You don't need these tax rises. And what they have done, they've deceived the public because they wanted to tax you. They wanted to get rid of child benefit, and it was to save their own skin because the backbenchers would have got rid of them otherwise. That's why they have lied. It stinks. They both need to go.
With the blue jumper on there, what would you like to say? Make sure that microphone's right next to your mouth. Thank you very much.
I was going to say that us of a certain vintage realised Labour were lying in their manifesto. Us who lived through the winter of discontent in 1979, right, where we had tax bans from 35% to 85%, strikes, waste not being collected, you knew what was going to happen. We were saved in 79 by Margaret Thatcher, who is, in my opinion, the greatest Prime Minister of the last century. We knew what was going to happen, unfortunately, the younger generation have found out the hard way by voting Labour.
Okay, so while I've got you, get back up. Right, okay, I've obviously rattled off a list of pretty stonking, I would argue, lies there, mistruths, some people might say, I don't know, dating all the way back to, was he a friend of Jeremy Corbyn, was he not a friend of Jeremy Corbyn? Whenever Keir Starmer opens his mouth, how do you feel?
I don't trust him.
No.
Right.
I do not trust him whatsoever. I could say things which I'm saying to friends which I can't beat on this show, but I think he is the most unloyal, distrusted Prime Minister this country has ever had.
Yeah, it's turned out that way. I do remember the winter of discontent. I was a kid and I used to have to do my homework by candlelight.
You didn't have electricity one night, gas the next.
Well, I think we only had electricity 3 days a week or something like that. It was crucifying. I had school books that were held together with paper clips and things like that. It was just appalling.
But that's all coming back, particularly the candlelight thing. If Ed Miliband's got anything to do with it.
I think that's the gentleman's point. But can I just say, the real problem here is you've got Sir Keir Starmer knew perfectly well that he could not get in if he stuck to old-style Labour policies. And that's what's underpinning every decision he makes. And it also means that he finds it very difficult to sound convincing or authentic because he doesn't actually have a vision and a story to hang his hat on. And that is why he changes his mind so much. The same is true of Rachel Reeves. I would look back to July when she had the breakdown in the House of Commons and said that it was because of personal problems. I did not believe that for one moment. And this week, when she says that, actually, I've been treated badly, it's misogynists, and what was the other expression she used? Mansplaining. Thank you, the woman in the front row there. Mansplaining. I mean, that's an insult on every level. It's self-deprecating for her. It is insulting to women like me who've had to work all their lives in very, very chauvinistic environments, for example, Fleet Street when I was younger. And it's really insulting to my daughter, who's newly qualifying as an architect in a male-dominated career and has never complained once.
Yeah, fair enough. Well done. So this is big, right? This is seriously big. If it turns out that she knew that she didn't need to raise taxes, in this sense, that there was no, kind of black hole and all of that, then it's a choice, isn't it? Then it's a choice in order to pay for welfare.
It was a choice. Politics is always a choice. The point is
underpinned by the truth.
But it was a choice made to save their own skin.
The point here is that she was advised quite correctly by the OBR that they had revised the figures for productivity.
Was she a chess
productivity and the deficit are not the same thing.
Sorry, but hang on a minute. Was she a chess champion? No. Did she work at the Bank of England for the best part of a decade? No. But so you can't believe a word, can you?
Well, I'm talking about this issue, which has been highlighted and that we're talking about this evening. Right? And we can throw on all sorts of other distractions, and some of them I might agree with you, and some of them I might not. But on this one, she was advised that there was £16 billion less because productivity under the Tories had now been revised down by the OBR. That's the truth.
But productivity and the deficit are not the same thing.
Of course they're not.
Exactly. So it's a moot argument. But let's get back to the simplicity here, which is she says there's a black hole. The OBR, which is the data centre for government, says there isn't. Who's lying?
Yeah, because they said that it would be the downgrade in productivity. The OBR said today that would be offset by higher wages, which would increase the tax revenue. So yes, like on paper, the spirit of the truth was not given by her.
Then have 4.2 billion pounds as headroom, which anybody who knows anything about economics...
She lied to get through her vanity project.
We've got to go. We've got to go. But yeah, look, there we go.